So you want to start streaming on Twitch with OBS, but all you have is a laptop? I'm going to show you how you could do just that. Laptops can be amazing, but when it comes to streaming, they sometimes fall a little short. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can still use a laptop and have an incredible stream on Twitch. Something to keep in mind while watching this video is that I personally have an HP Envy with an Intel Core i7 and an Intel Iris graphics card, so keep that in mind as my specs might be a little bit different than yours. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go into settings down here. The general settings have nothing to do with your actual stream. These are just visuals for OBS. For instance, I have it on dark mode. The first thing we're going to go through and actually matters is the stream tab. You are going to want to sign into Twitch using your information and your stream key. And then what you can do is you can pick a server that you want to stream off of. Now, I have found personally that New York is the best server for me, so that is what I keep it on. There are many different options. You could also keep it on automatic, so it will swap around to whichever one is the best for your stream. Next, we are going to go into output. What you're going to want to do is use your best encoder. My best encoder is the X264, and if you're using a laptop, that will most likely be what you are also going to use. I do not rescale my output at all. It is at 640 by 480. I keep it there, and that is what it is. Now we're getting into what your internet can handle, not just your laptop. So Twitch recommends that your rate control is on CBR, which is a constant bit rate. What you have to do is go to speedtest.net, do a speed test, and then use this chart that I am showing you on screen to come up with what your bit rate should be. Although internet is the most important aspect here, it is important to realize that your computer, your laptop may not be able to handle such high bit rates, so you may have to turn down your bit rate just a tad, just to make sure your laptop can actually handle. A note about bit rate. Your internet may be absolutely incredible. You may have your Ethernet cable in and you can use like a 10,000 bit rate. Twitch caps it out at 6,000. So you might be able to do 10,000, but it will not even look 10,000. It will stop at 6,000 no matter what. Now, as we move down to keyframe interval, Twitch recommends that you keep it on 2. CPU usage preset. And it is exactly what it says. Higher means less CPU. More than likely, if you're using a laptop such as mine, you are going to be at the top of this list somewhere. Ultra fast, super fast, very fast. That just means it is using less CPU and your laptop is not going to be like overheating or anything and ruining your stream. If you have a better laptop, then you can continue to try to go down further than this list. You could try to push it as far as possible. But with all of the stream settings that I currently have, I keep it on ultra fast and I still have a very clear and crisp stream. You also don't want to be doing too much because, again, your laptop is not built so well for streaming performance. You want to make sure it is doing as little as possible, as best as possible. Twitch recommends that your profile remains on main, and then the tune, I have no tune. Now we are going to move into audio. In the general audio, you will have a sample rate and your channels. The sample rate will either be between 48 kilohertz or 44.1 kilohertz. Twitch is okay with either one of those. I personally use 48 kilohertz, and then for channel, I use stereo because I personally think you get more of a well-rounded sound than when you're using mono. And Twitch is okay with mono as well, but I personally use stereo because I think I get a clearer sound. Besides that, there's not much else to change on the audio tab. You just want to make sure that your preferred mic is chosen for whichever track you are using your audio on. And then a side note is that the maximum audio bit rate is 320 kilobits. So just keep that in mind when you are streaming. Now we are on to video. This is where I think a lot of people try to push it when they should not. Your base resolution is what you're going to take in, what OBS is going to grab from whatever you're capturing. So mine is usually set to 1920 by 1080. I want it to download the best possible resolution for whatever I am playing. However, when you are outputting that resolution, you want to scale it down Currently I have it at 1920 at 1080 simply because I am recording, but when I am streaming, I push it down to 720p. So I take in 1080, but then I push out 720. You can even try to do a little higher, a little bit lower, but I think 720p is a great way to stream. There is not much difference between 1080 and 720. People are not going to click off of your stream because you are streaming in 720p. That's just not true. If you're streaming in 360, maybe, but if you're doing a 720 versus a 1080 comparison, people are not going to be clicking off of your stream because of it. If you want to actually have a decent stream running on your laptop, do not output at 1920 by 1080 because it will not work that well. I promise you. Also, when you're doing 1920 by 1080, it allows you to edit that correctly. So when you're using your overlays and everything else, it'll actually be in the perfect ratio. When you stream it and output it, it'll just downscale it a little bit to 720p. That's it. So keep the base at 1080p, but then your output, lower that. I promise you, it'll work better than trying to stream at 1080p. For your downscale filter, you want to have it on bicubic. That is just the best one that I have found to use. Frames per second, again, it is something that depends on you and your capabilities, your internet, your laptop. I'm just showing you what I use so you can then base your settings off of what I use. You might have a better laptop than me, so you can push it even further. You might have a worse laptop than me, so you have to dial it back just a little bit. So for frames per second, you might need to go down to 30s if your laptop isn't as great. But if your laptop is good, you can put it up to 60, and that will be great. Hotkeys, this is all just for you, so you could have a hotkey to start streaming, to mute your mic, etc., etc. The only thing that I will mention in advance is stream delay. I must mention that Twitch already has a 5-second stream delay built in. I don't recommend adding any stream delay if you want to interact with your chat and your viewers as quickly as possible, as if it is in real time. And so yeah, that is that. Those are my settings and kind of the explanation behind some of them. Some of them you might have to change due to your own capabilities, but this is why I recommend test streaming. Before I ever did my first stream, I test streamed an insane amount. I saw how far I can push my laptop and how far back I need to pull. You will see on my streams, I still get 720p, even though I'm still streaming on a laptop. Other tips for if you're streaming and playing a game on your laptop, what you will have to do is probably cut back on a lot of the quality settings for the game. For instance, say Minecraft, you're gonna have to turn particles down, render distance down, because your computer cannot handle doing all of that at the same time while streaming. You may be able to do that when you're not streaming, but streaming takes a whole lot of effort for your laptop. So you are gonna have to do a lot of playing around to make sure your stream can come out as crisp and as beautiful as possible.